This classic episode of the Electric Playground is brought to you by P&P Games, your source for everything video games. Support the partners that support Electric Playground. Remember, this episode first aired in 2000.
Circus. Third law for the PC. It's a first-person shooter, and I'm here with Will LeConto. You can't top Gene Simmons. You can't top Gene Simmons in a first-person shooter game, can you?
No, you cannot. And we got a lot of action-packed levels. It's amazing. We were initially skeptical about taking the KISS license.
Yeah.
We didn't want to make some cheesy license title. We tried to make a game that would kind of stand on its own. We used Doom as our inspiration.
Yep.
Tried to get back to the action-packed frenzy that Doom was. We think we've got it. We got more creatures on the screen at one time than any 3D shooter has now, and it's just a heart-pounding, adrenaline-pumping experience from beginning to end.
How many baddies are we blowing away on screen at the same time?
You will get regularly 15 to 20. We had some test levels where we had over 50, maybe 80 on screen, and the frame rate wasn't dropping. And we're not going to say you're going to have 80 creatures on the screen, but you'll have 15, 20, 25 during parts of the game.
You talk about this KISS license. We have like bazooka guitars and like drum kits that have flame out of.
They're demigod kind of characters, supernatural creatures that influence the lives of people on Earth.
Uh-huh.
And in our game, we took that universe and basically you build up these guys from mortals to the superhero KISS guy with all the armor and weapons, and you take them through and try to restore the world that's been perverted by the Nightmare Child. The Starbearer is the water element, Celestial's air, Beast King is earth, and the Demon is fire.
Yeah.
The levels are somewhat based on those elements. You'll find more lava levels in the fire realm and vines and chasms in the earth realm. It's the engine that they use for Shogo and Blood 2, and we think we've taken it a lot further and done some really nice things with it.
Very cool. Now tell me a little bit about the multiplayer game.
The main twist that we've got is deathmatch, because people want to deathmatch as the KISS characters.
All right, you got to give me a KISS impression, man. Your favorite band member. Let's just give us something. Give us the Gene Simmons tongue. Let's go. Come on, Gene Simmons. There it is, baby. That one's right for your mama. That's going home to mom.
I am here with George Foreman, a man who really needs no introduction, especially in the video game world. Now, there was a George Foreman boxing game, I remember.
Been there, done that, but not like this one.
Now tell me about this game.
When you team Acclaim and HBO boxing together,
right,
you got something beyond wonderful. I hated to ever retire out of boxing in reality. Now I have a chance to live forever, and do it all in the video world. I'm gonna last so long in cyberspace that I'm gonna make Methuselah look young.
For more information on any of the games or stories featured on EP, visit our website at www.electplay.com.
Oh, sorry. I'm just finishing lunch. And also enjoying these promotional VHS tapes from Nintendo Power, chock full of information on some great upcoming games. Are we in the golden age of video game coverage and we don't even know it? Now, you're already here watching the Electric Playground Classic, so I know that seeing behind the scenes of the video game industry is important to you. It's also important to everyone who enjoys games. Documenting these publishers, developers, and dreamers with such open access is imperative to building a basic respect for the hard work that goes into most every video game we plug into our consoles or PC. The story of video games is relatively young, and thankfully the Electric Playground was there to record its burgeoning history in the 90s and beyond. P&P Games is proud to present EP Classic every Saturday morning. Gunstar Heroes and Gamer Broccoli, lunch of champions.
Last year, Namco did a Pac-Man game for the PlayStation. It's 20th anniversary of Pac-Man 3D game. Oddly enough, called Pac-Man World 20th anniversary. Well, this year they're doing it with Miss Pac-Man. Miss Pac-Man? I love Miss Pac-Man! I am here at Namco with the Miss Pac-Man team. This is, of course, the star of the Miss Pac-Man game. Now, Pac-Man World, which was a highly popular game last year, sold a lot of units on a PlayStation. What new features are in Miss Pac-Man that Pac-Man World didn't have?
Well, we've redesigned Ms. Pac-Man. Obviously, she's one of the most famous video game characters in history. And we've basically brought her into 4 new worlds, which have never been seen before. There's Haunted Halloween, for example, and Cleopatra. We have a whole range of new enemies, 15 in total, over 180 new mazes. And also we've got a multiplayer element as well, 3 different tournament games with multiplayer maps you can unlock in the regular game, and you can play up to 6 characters like Puka or Baby Pac, Junior Pac, trying to chase each other to get the dots.
Can you give us a secret, some Electric Playground exclusive secret about, you know, something in the game that we can expect to see?
We haven't told anyone this, but if you eat all 3 or all 4 ghosts in any of the mazes with just 1 power pellet, special power-ups turn up, so you'll be able to get secret goodies if you eat all 4 ghosts in the maze.
Electric Playground exclusive right here from the guys at Namco. Thank you very much, Ed.
For more information on any of the games or stories featured on EP, visit our website at www.electplay.com.
You know, Banjo-Kazooie was a highly popular and successful game for the Nintendo system. Well, guess what? The guys who created it, Rare, also created games like GoldenEye and Donkey Kong Country, now bring us Banjo-Tooie. Banjo-Tooie, get it, Tooie, because it's a... I didn't think it was that funny either.
One of the biggest hits from Rare a couple of years ago was a game called Banjo-Kazooie. It was extremely long, it was filled with gameplay, and at the end of the game there was a promise that a sequel was coming called Banjo-Tooie, and voila, here it is.
That's it, here it is, in its wonderful, glorious form.
You gotta tell me the truth here. Banjo-Tooie, is it better than Donkey Kong 64?
Absolutely,
Really?
and bigger.
Better and bigger than Donkey Kong
and
64.
bigger. I mean, this game is huge. It's another 512-bit card. It doesn't run on an expansion pack whatsoever. So basic summer pack, the graphics are amazing. The smallest world in Banjo-Tooie is larger than the largest world in Banjo-Kazooie.
What are we able to do in this game though that's different?
You have all your other moves from Banjo-Kazooie, but now you have special moves. Like before you could beak bust like a rock or something, but now it's like a drill, so it looks like a jackhammer. And you can split apart now. Banjo can go off in his way, and Kazooie can go off on her way, and they can battle other bosses separately or together. You get special moves, like Banjo by himself can throw his backpack over his head and go underwater so he can hold air or like capture enemies in his backpack. Where Kazooie doesn't have to stop and land when she's flying anymore because she doesn't have a big bear to carry along.
I saw a little bit of the first-person shooter stuff in there. That looked great.
You actually take Kazooie out of your backpack, charge her up, and you're ready. And it goes into first person. You got to battle bosses like that, go through whole entire levels like that. And it's really, really cool. It's a neat idea. Plus, it's like you got new eggs. You got fire eggs, ice eggs, home-seeking eggs.
Okay, tell us about some of the environments that are in this game. I love the ship level. I love the snowy mountain levels in the first game. What beats that?
There's one level where you come in that's like a little town and a big pool of water. And you know, it looks pretty big and everything. But when you go to the water, you have to get Mumbo to charge it up so it's all oxygenated so you can go down and swim beneath. And that's only 1/3 of the level. You go down underneath and there's this huge area. Then you have to go through another tunnel, feed an octopus, go through into another huge area, then you go through into another huge area, and that is just one level. Well, now it's like one big spaghetti map. All the other worlds are accessed by the other worlds. Sometimes you have to go through worlds just to get to certain parts of other worlds.
Banjo-Tooie, check it out.
You know, one of my favorite baseball games ever of all time has been World Series Baseball, both on the Genesis and the Saturn. Well, get ready for the best looking baseball game you have ever seen in your entire life.
World Series Baseball 2001 for the Dreamcast.
You guys all right back there? I'm here with Greg Thomas, a very good friend of the Electric Playground, and we are talking about probably one of the best looking SEGA games I have seen all show, World Series Baseball 2K1. Look at this thing, Greg. What are you guys doing?
No, it's really beautiful. I mean, there's a lot of polygons being drawn, the lighting's great. You know, there's a ton of animations, and of course, it's got that World Series gameplay.
Yeah.
World Series Baseball has been and continues to be the best playing baseball game.
I can't believe the motion capture in this.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we've done a lot of things as far as the details in the motion capture. A lot of different animations that you haven't seen before. And the game itself is really coming along. A lot of, like, you know, you look at the reflections on the helmet, you know, a lot of really nice details. It's actually being developed in Japan.
In Japan?
By the original team that made World Series Baseball. So it's going to be damn good.
That's why we get it all. I mean, every single player's animation is unique. The way they pick up the ball, they just don't stop like you always see in baseball games too. They actually just follow through and do all their animations.
Exactly right. They're blending animations together all over the place and try to get them to line up right, and it looks so real.
Well, thank you very much, Greg. I can't wait to play this thing. This is amazing. The best looking baseball game I've ever seen, ever.
Hi, this is George Foreman, and you're watching the Electric Playground. Don't move, don't move!
Hurry up, the Electric Playground Classic is starting. Be right there, just grabbing a chug juice.
Now, everybody loves the game Command & Conquer from Westwood Studios. Now, have you ever imagined actually being one of those little guys walking around, shooting, getting blown up and stuff? I know I have. Well, guess what? Westwood Studios has come through with Command & Conquer Renegade.
Hey, I'm with Louis Castle. He is the co-founder of Westwood Studios, and we're talking about a brand new Command & Conquer game. It's a third-person shooter called Renegade. Where did the concept for a different style of Command & Conquer game come from?
Well, ever since we first made the Renegade, or the Commando unit mission in the original Command & Conquer, we always thought, wouldn't it be great to be that guy on the ground and actually running through the world as everything's going on around you. So we thought about first person and third person, and actually the game is really nice in the sense that you can switch between the two very quickly and easily.
Cool, so basically you're stuck in the world of the Command & Conquer games.
Exactly.
And you're going through and you're following some of the storyline that's in the Command & Conquer games that everybody loves.
Exactly. You're actually filling in a lot of the backstory as you go through the product. So there's 12 areas in the product, really, really huge areas that you explore as you go on your individual missions, ultimately to try to stop Nod from developing the Tiberium Super Soldier. But the really fun part about the game is Command & Conquer. So our multiplayer mode, where you have two bases, a Nod and a GDI base, using all their armaments against each other, and you're the 1 or 2 characters, or even 10 characters that are swaying the balance back and forth, that's really exciting.
The fiction is huge. You guys have been working on this game for years and years, so you've got a lot of backstory to draw from.
Exactly. You'll see all the stuff that was familiar from Command & Conquer, including all the vehicles and all the weapons that were in Command & Conquer.
Okay.
And when I say the vehicles, I don't mean just seeing them. You actually get to get in them and drive them around and fly them. It's a real physics engine, so the truck behaves very, very naturally. And I can hop off ends here, Indo. You have motorcycles, buggies, cars, tanks, orcas. You know, you see those orcas screaming overhead for the first few missions, and then finally you actually get in one. You get to fly it around, use the rockets and the machines.
Oh man, awesome.
It's great fun. So that and all the weaponry, of course, there's some new weapons as well, and expansions on the weapons, like the sniper rifle scope.
When is this coming out? I want a copy.
Winter.
In winter.
Winter of this year, yeah,
Winter.
it's coming out.
Pay attention for Renegade.
Recently, we had a chance to sit down and talk to Ira Guilford. Now, he was the art director on huge blockbuster movies like Titanic, you might have heard of it, and one of my personal favorites, Fifth Element. I love Lilu. Anyway, now he's art directing a video game called The Evil Dead.
I'm joined by Ira Guilford. He is a true multimedia artist who has worked in toys, movies, and now he's working in video games. Toys, working for Mattel, designing cars for the Hot Wheels line, films like Fifth Element and Titanic, and now he's working on the Evil Dead game for PlayStation, Dreamcast, and PlayStation 2. The Fifth Element and Titanic were two beautiful movies. What was it like watching these things on the big screen for the first time?
Oh, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. But I'll tell you, I get such a kick now out of doing games. Films are very stringent and there's very controlled. There's budget controls and there's all these controls. But in the games, you have absolutely total freedom.
Well, let's talk about Evil Dead. Can you take us through some of your original sketches and design here? Okay, Ira, explain this image to me. What is this one here?
Okay, this is the sketch of what we call the Hellbilly house.
Hellbilly house.
Hellbilly, exactly. And as you can see, it's put together is sloppily and built with materials that they found on the side of the road. You can see it doesn't look very sturdy. I mean, this is a trough where these evil hellbillies eat.
Oh, and they have rolls of toilet paper to wipe themselves off with?
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Is this abattoir, the slaughterhouse, and you can see the blood.
Pools of blood underneath.
And it drains and down into a lower area where lurks this vicious pig-like animal. But you can see what in the game. You have to get an item that's down here.
So there's a lot of red in there. Are you doing this stuff with pencils and red pencils and stuff?
Well, basically the technique is I do basically a pencil drawing.
Yeah.
Like this is a picture of like the house. And I put this into a scanner. I scan the image. I then put it into a program called Photoshop. I manipulate the color. Print it on a printer that has, the paper has some tooth to it, and then go back in and do pencil work, etc. on top of it.
Do you have any ideas, where you're headed to next, what you're going to be working on?
The next 5 to 10 years, there's going to be fields opening up that I don't have a clue of what it is yet. I'm sure there's something else that I'm going to be doing, because I do like the variety of life, and that's one of the cool things about, doing a lot of things. It's constant change.
For more information on any of the games or stories featured on EP, visit our website at www.electplay.com.
Up all night playing that clock tower you got from B&B Games?
You know it.
Are you?
Okay, so this probably happens to you all the time. Let's just say, for example, your tank has been stuck in the mud and you're really bored, you're waiting for your troops to show up. Well, here's something to do. It's Army Men on the Game Boy Color, and surprisingly enough, they've done a really great job with this game. This thing is a very close approximation to what you'd get on the PC. Basically, you're in control of Sarge, and you've got to go and rescue your team members, and these are all the green little plastic guys, and you're battling the tan plastic guys. So you got to go and chase them down with a bazooka or a flamethrower or an assault rifle, anything you can find that's scattered around in the terrain. There's tanks, there's jeeps, you're going to have air cover. It captures the heart of Army Men very well, so I'm going to recommend it. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10, and I think you guys should check it out for your Game Boy Color. I think somebody upstairs doesn't want us to review this game right now, but I got to ask what you thought of Messiah, Tommy.
Messiah, great place to review Messiah, actually, in front of the cathedral here. Messiah, of course, has been in development since 1884.
1884, yeah.
And
the Pilgrims first started on Messiah, I think.
And this is a game that doesn't look like it took 4 years to make, I can tell you that.
There was a lot of hype about their tessellation software that allowed them to be able to...
Scalability!
To scale the graphics all over the place, and you can see the elements are there, but it looks dated because it's been in development for so long. The concept behind Messiah is actually quite cool. You play a little baby angel named Bob, and you've got to try to find Satan and kick his butt.
You get to jump into any character in the entire game.
If you hop into one character, you're going to get a totally different reaction from the surrounding characters than if you hopped into another one.
I went and I would kill the scientist, but then 4 hours later, you figure out that you can't get through this door because you were never supposed to kill the scientist, and you had to go in his body to open the door.
It's not a real just go out and shoot everybody type of game, because if you do that, the cops in the game target you right away, and they're all crack shots, and they kill you instantly, and
it's very
frustrating.
It's frustrating. It's unfair. I hated the controls personally.
You know, I sure expect more from Shiny because I've loved Shiny's games in the past. I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. What did you give Messiah?
I give it a 5.
What'd you think of Daikatana for the N64?
Speaking of crappy video games, this one's right up there, I gotta tell you, because...
And here's another game that's been, well, the N64 version hasn't been in development forever, but the PC version has. It's a first-person shooter game in the style of Quake and Doom, because it's made by the guy that designed Quake and Doom, John Romero. You're running around, hunting for keys, shooting up bad guys. It's got a little bit of role-playing elements, so you can increase your skill level, you can increase your speed. You're basically just picking up power-ups and blowing away stuff.
One of the reasons he kind of left id was because he wanted to work more on storyline and have more of a story element in the game. And on the N64 version, it plays a scene and all it does is play music. It doesn't have any, so you see this guy collecting swords and swiping, no sound effects whatsoever. No. Then when a guy walks in,
you have to read the text all along.
And then when a guy walks in the room, text comes up. Yeah. Maybe it's a good backstory, but hey,
in the game itself, it sucks. 4 out of 10.
4.0 for me also. Exactly what I give it.
Brutal.
Exactly.
All right, well, let's shift gears here. What did you think of Tony Hawk Pro Skater for the Dreamcast? We reviewed this game on every other system. Now it's coming out for the Dreamcast.
The game is exactly the PlayStation version, except where the PlayStation version, the graphics, which were amazing on the PlayStation, they're a little more sharper, they're a little more clear. There's nothing different in this game whatsoever. It is a complete port. So, that being said, the PlayStation version of Tony Hawk is great. So then, the Dreamcast version of Tony Hawk then is great. If you have the PlayStation version, don't buy the Dreamcast because there's no reason to. If you have the N64 version,
I'd wait
don't
for
buy it.
Tony Hawk 2.
If you have the Game Boy version, you want to buy the Dreamcast version though, because that one really kind of is completely different.
The resolution on the game is unbelievable.
The multiplayer is amazing.
And the full screen video sequences that pop up in the different levels, they look fabulous.
But you got to remember, they just took the PlayStation game and put it on the Dreamcast. So all that's different is that it looks a little sharper.
It's really the gameplay that makes this game so special, man. You can play this thing forever and ever. The thing that I didn't like about the game, it has nothing to do with the game, it has to do with the controller. It makes playing the game a lot more difficult than it should be.
I gave Tony Hawk on the PlayStation a 9. For that reason, the ugly-ass cow controller. 8.5 Dreamcast Tony Hawk.
It is 6 months later. There should have been some Dreamcast exclusive stuff. I'm also taking a point off for that. 8.5 out of 10 for me. Now, what'd you think of Grind Session, which sounds like a porno game, but it's not, for the PlayStation?
Well, I'll tell you, I had a great revelation about this game.
Did you?
Is an exact Tony Hawk knockoff.
Well,
it is Tony Hawk skateboarding on the PlayStation. It's
not exact.
And it is so exact.
It's not exact.
The controls are the same. The tricks are the same. The multiplayer mode. Everything about this game is exact. Now, that's not to say that it's not a good game. As a matter of fact, it's a great game.
Yes.
Like Tony Hawk skateboarding.
I would agree with you that because it's so similar to Tony Hawk.
Sony trying to cash in on Activision's success with Tony Hawk.
They should have gone a little bit further with it, but what they've added to Grind Session are all of these different racing and trick lines that you have to follow, and if you complete those lines, you get respect points and new levels are opened up. On the Tony Hawk version, there was invisible walls that you couldn't jump over and access new parts of the level. In Grind Session, you can't. You can create your own custom character, which is really cool. You get all these really awesome pros, but if you want to just build yourself and put yourself into the game, you can do that, which is excellent. And I love playing this game. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10?
Yeah.
7.7 for me.
You're giving Grind Session 7.7.
Yeah, we really didn't argue that much today because all the games were real crappy or they were good.
May the force be with you.
St. Elmo's fire.
Always.
You can find all the games featured in Reviews on the Run and hundreds more at all Microplay locations across North America. Remember, Microplay, buy, rent, sell, trade.
Hey, you know, when I'm not playing, I like to watch. And if you like to watch, then you're going to want to watch every single episode ever of the Electric Playground. You know where you can get it? At www.elecplay.com.
Production assistance for Electric Playground is provided by M-Player, Earth's free multiplayer gaming service. Sony Computer Entertainment, makers of Siphon Filter 2 for PlayStation. And Computech Media, publishers of Insight Video Gaming, Insight PC Gaming, and Insight.com.
You looking at me? You looking at me? Well, you think there's something funny here? You looking at me? Are you looking at me? Next week, you can look at me. Next week, you can look at me. This week, stop looking at me.
Give me that!
This classic episode of the Electric Playground was brought to you by P&P Games, your source for everything video games. Support the partners that support the Electric Playground. Thanks for watching, and play forever.